Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. If 1 year ago someone came from the future and told me you're going to reach the Europa League thanks to Patrick scoring 2 goals, I would never believe it. But hey, here we are. So, don't know where to start, Alistair, but it's true. Patrick was decisive for this Europa League qualification for Lazio. I don't know what's happening. Where are we heading going like this?
Well, yeah, I wrote a tweet at the game last week against Sampdoria saying, when you're in, as the old adage goes, when you're in need of a goal, call Patrick. And I thought I'm never going to need this tweet again now, but it was funny. And then I can just bring it back up a week later. There he is. Making his own bid for the capocannoniere. Ciro's not there, so he saw an opportunity and he's going to seize it. Two headers though from set pieces. I mean, it's amazing because we've spent a lot of time, it feels like, talking about the fact that Lazio don't score enough of that kind of goal. So it's a bit strange that Patric, who's kind of the smallest defender, kind of smallest centre back you've probably ever seen, is the one who's kind of nodding in these set pieces.
Yeah, it looks like they won't give him the goal yesterday. They will give it as an own goal, which is disappointing because he would have made the same goals of Zaniolo in Serie A, which it's. I'm hearing Zaniolo is such a great player, but our defenders score the same amount of goals. So Lazzari scored more goals than Zaniolo. So, but. And the most disappointing thing, Alistair, apart from this, I would have given the goal to Patrick, honestly. But he won't be playing next Saturday in the last match at the Stadio Olimpico because he got a yellow card.
Yeah.
So we hope yesterday wasn't the last match of Patrick with Lazio, right?
Hope not. Yeah, I mean it is a shame because he's kind of become a bit of a I don't know, cult hero is probably pushing it a bit too far, but I think he's someone that the fans kind of enjoy in a certain way, maybe a certain kind of self-destructive way, and definitely I think he's been one of the kind of unexpected success stories this season, really, in many ways. I mean, that said, I think yesterday he wasn't great defensively for the second goal, and kind of comes back to the old problem of that you don't feel that comfortable using him in centre back against a team of the level of Juventus. But yeah, it would have been nice for him to be there for that final home match. I'm hoping get a good crowd. Europa League is already in the bag, so now it's just about finishing off by finishing fifth, which is now just 1 point away. Because amazingly as well, Vittorio, all the other results seem to go our way. They all did. Well, they basically did go our way because you couldn't have. I think Venezia taking a draw is much better than anyone would have expected against Roma.
Venezia already relegated, taking a point. That's incredible. And who would have thought Sampdoria already saved, winning 4-1 against Fiorentina? I had to refresh a couple of times. I couldn't believe it, So, yeah, incredible results. But going back to Patrick, even the second goal, it's all coming from Patrick. He took the ball, he ran all the way to the midway, passed the ball to Basic, and, then we know what happened. So, and the funniest thing, I don't know, guys, if you have the chance, go and see the celebration. Patrick celebrate like he scored an unbelievable goal. It's so funny. I love the way he celebrates for a Lazio goal.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that last week. The fact that he celebrates like a guy who doesn't really know what to do because he never has to. So yeah, I did thoroughly enjoy that. I mean, there's quite a lot to talk about with this game, I think. I think the place I probably want to start though is the kind of weirdness of the atmosphere, because we knew in advance Juve were already guaranteed fourth. That's as good as it was going to get for them. We knew it was Chiellini's final home game, that it was Dybala's final home game. But it did create the strangest kind of atmosphere where it was treated almost like an exhibition match where Chiellini was taken off after 15 minutes. They stopped the game for however long while he hugs everybody on the pitch.
Yeah.
Then he goes around the pitch signing autographs while the game's still going on. And yes, he's off the pitch, but we're not talking about the Olimpico here. That the stands are right there, so it must have been a little bit distracting. And then in the second half, the same thing happens with Paulo Dybala. I mean, I did ask the question last night because I was like, I can't remember something like this happening before. And apparently it also happened with Buffon and Del Piero, which I'd forgotten about.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts on that? It was a bit strange where from a Lazio perspective, you're thinking, hang on, guys, we're not on holiday. This still means something to us.
No, and you pointed out correctly that Chiellini took like 5 minutes to get out the pitch, and the referee gave only 2 extra added minute, which, it wasn't totally unfair for us because we were playing much better. But yeah, it was a weird atmosphere. And the most important thing is when usually these things happen, the other team feels like, well, we don't have to spoil the party, right? But we had to, because we needed at least 1 point to get to the Europa League. So it was a little bit bizarre to see that. And especially wasting a substitution after 30 minutes. That didn't make sense. Wait, I don't know, the beginning of the second half before taking off Chiellini, which was good because I thought the league was awful. And the league has been awful in the last month or so. But yeah, I mean, it was a weird atmosphere. And, I was checking the stats back again. Ball possession, 63% Lazio against Juventus. I know it's weird, but if one team deserved to win, that was definitely Lazio, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange one because in any other, well, if it wasn't for those 2 moments of switching off, and look, you can say as well, Juve possessed the kind of individual quality and the kind of ruthlessness that Lazio completely didn't in that first half. So that is credit to them. But if it wasn't for that, you would say that's probably one of Lazio's most complete and impressive performances of the season, because to dominate the way they did away to Juventus, fair enough, a Juve team kind of on the beach, but they completely controlled that game. It was really impressive how they were winning the ball so high up the pitch, putting Juve under a lot of pressure. First half kind of struggling to turn that pressure into really good opportunities, but second half they got there a lot more. And yeah, the draw, it was great. It did feel great to get that last minute, last second really equalizer. But like you're saying, considering the statistical dominance and the way the second half went, it felt like could have even got more out of that game. But is this not just the season in a nutshell of Vittorio Lazio? They are good going forwards. Under Sarri, we've got better and better as the season's gone on in terms of that control within matches, that way of dictating possession. But the defensive problems are always going to set the team back. So is it not kind of like almost a summary of the entire season?
Definitely. But the most impressive thing we didn't mention, Ciro didn't play. And we didn't have that many options, right? I don't know if it's the game without Ciro where we score more goals, because I think we struggle without Ciro. Sarri didn't have that many options, Alistair, because Pedro just had 2 training in the last month or so. So pretty much the option we had was Cabral or Luca Romero starting. Sarri opted for Cabral. Were you surprised? And how do you rate his performance?
Yeah, of course I was surprised. I mean, even with the fact that Pedro had hardly trained in a month, and obviously the lack of other options other than kind of throwing a Romero in or whatever, I still thought that, given that Cabral seems almost certain to not be staying at the club, that he must be looking at a different kind of option. So, yeah, I mean, it was interesting seeing Sarri's comments before the game on that, saying that he kind of felt that Cabral had to serve an apprenticeship, I think was how he put it, to then be given his chance in the team. It's like, that's interesting apprenticeship, because he's not played any football. So I don't know how you can be a apprentice footballer if you're not playing football. But But anyway, yeah, I mean, I thought that it was more or less what I expected, because when you're talking about a guy who's played 2 games for the club since arriving, who's playing in his unnatural position, because let's remember, he's actually a winger. He's not supposed to be playing down the middle. I thought he looked a bit disorientated and confused. There was that moment in the first half where the camera kind of panned in on Felipe Anderson, kind of explaining to him with his hands kind of what he wants him to do and where he should be, or at least that's what it looked like he was doing. And I think that kind of summed it up. I don't think he was terrible. Like, he gave everything. I don't think you can fault his commitment or his effort, but he just looked like a guy who wasn't familiar with his teammates, to be honest.
Well, last match he played was the 22nd of February, I think, against Udinese again, because we were without Ciro. So, it's like 2 months without playing. So it wasn't very easy. But I was impressed because he gave everything, knowing that he will leave the club in 1 week time and that he hardly had any chances. I was impressed by his attitude because, he could simply don't care, come in and just pretend to play. Instead, he did everything. He tried to do his best. So that was really encouraging. You mentioned our defense. And again, I thought we paid 2 stupid mistakes. I mean, the first goal of Vlahovic, what is Marusic doing? I mean, how can you leave a striker like Vlahovic all alone like that? I mean, what was he thinking about?
Just switched off, didn't he? I mean, it's same story, different player, I guess. It's kind of I think Sarri made this point as well, where like collectively it feels like the team's improved defensively. I think they have improved defensively, kind of statistically, compared to the first half of the season, but there is still this issue in kind of one-on-one situations or in kind of individual culpability for things. And yeah, Marusic losing his marker at the back post is a pretty bad one. Second one, Patric's just nowhere near kind of stopping Morata from getting that shot away. I even saw people having a pop at Strakosha for that goal. I found that a bit strange. I don't think you can blame Strakosha, but to be honest, I think when things like this happen, there's now a kind of a widespread kind of Lazio pylon where fans just want to blame certain players or certain weaknesses in the squad. So that's probably what was happening there.
Yeah, and I think if Morata tries other 10 times, he will never hit the post again. I mean, he will send it in the curva most of the time. So usually bad luck for Lazio. But the impressive thing, Alistair, is that we didn't give up. Even without Ciro, we didn't give up. We played. We had so many chances. We hit the crossbar with Cataldi at the beginning of the match, and we created a lot, which was encouraging. So yeah, that was honestly, I thought 2-0 down. Don't see how we have any chances of getting back on track. But scoring immediately in the beginning of the second half with Patric was the thing that changed everything. And again, the substitution of Allegri was simply awful. I mean, if he could, he would have put another goalkeeper, right? I mean, take off Vlahovic, put Keane, and and all extra defenders. That for me, it gave a massive move to Lazio.
100%. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a Juve podcast, but I want to have a little rant about this because the Coppa Italia final just 5 days earlier, Allegri was responsible for that defeat in my mind. Inter scoring early in that game was the best thing that could have happened to Juve because it made them have to attack, and they did really well. And moments like that, you realize, God, this Juve squad has a lot of really good attacking players in it. If he just lets them actually express themselves, if he actually encourages them to get up the pitch and play in a more attacking style, and then they turn that game around to 2-1, what does he do? Switches to 3 at the back and defends, and they lose it. And last night, to be honest, the guy I felt sorry for was Paulo Dybala because, look, lovely player. I really enjoy watching Paulo Dybala. He's my kind of footballer. But it's his final home game for Juve, and he spends it defending with 10 men behind the ball on a 2-0 lead. Like the whole thing felt like an exhibition match, apart from the fact that Allegri was utterly determined to not let this team express themselves and enjoy themselves. And again, that helped Lazio because they were able to. I mean, it took a long time, yes, and I don't think Lazio actually created loads of great chances in this match, despite having loads of them. But it just hands the initiative to the opposition. So I just don't know what he's playing at because they've got a lot of good players in that squad.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we have to thank Allegri mentality because I don't know if we would have made it otherwise. What's your thoughts on the performance of Cataldi and Pedro when he came in? Because we said he hit the crossbar at the beginning of the match, but I thought Cataldi made a lot of mistakes. And when Leva came in, he a little bit took under control the midfield, wasting less balls than Cataldi did.
Oh, really? I thought Cataldi was really good, actually. I genuinely thought he was one of the best players on the pitch for Lazio, especially in the first half. His obviously hit the bar, but his passing I thought was really good in the first half. He was winning the ball back. I think he made quite a lot of tackles and ball recoveries and so on. I thought it was one of the best games he's played for a while.
Okay.
I think he did fade in the second half. I know what you mean. There were a couple of particularly really sloppy balls as time went on. But no, I was quite impressed by him.
Okay, we have different opinions here there. And what about Pedro? Because Sarri said that he wasn't 100% fit, and I thought we saw it clearly. After the first 10 minutes he came in, he pretty much wasn't able to do anything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's coming back from quite a long time out, and he's also, what, 35, is he? Something like that?
34 still.
34, okay. So probably felt like 35, if not more, then after that long out. So, he is an explosive player. So I think particularly players in that kind of role and who are that dynamic, I think it probably takes you a bit longer to build up that match fitness or that explosiveness that he needs. So it's good. It was good to have him back on the pitch. He's been a great signing. I know we're not quite at season review stage yet, but I think he's certainly one who's really paid off this season. I thought Zaccagni, another one. Speaking of that, was really determined. He had, I thought, a really good game. Yeah. He just looked like he was fighting for everything. And I think that's really encouraging. It's also kind of interesting that at this stage of the season, you see certain players putting in these performances where you're like, oh, where did that come from? And do you think that's just kind of everyone can see the transfer market approaching? Everyone can see the kind of the end of the season changes coming up in the mirror. And do you think there's certain, not so much Zaccagni because he's safe, but some of the others perhaps?
No, I think Sarri mentioned it at the end of the match. He said it's quite annoying that the season is ending because I think that my team is ramping up. They are improving the performance. And if we had like 1 month still to play, well, maybe we could reach the 4th position in the Champions League because, we mentioned at the beginning all the other results were favorite to Lazio. But we have to say that in the last 5 matches, I think Fiorentina lost 4 and won 1. Roma, I don't know. They never won a match probably in the last 5 or maybe 1 or 2. Same thing about Atalanta. You can see the other teams collapsing while Lazio is improving and improving. And Sarri said it. It looks like this team is pointing the right direction. They understood what I'm asking, and they're putting everything on the pitch. So that's really encouraging. On the other side, Alison, we know that a lot of players would leave. So my disappointment is that, okay, we reached this level, and then maybe 4 or 5 of this will be gone. And are we going to restart from scratch next year, or do you think that something's going to continue?
It's hard to say. It's the eternal question that has been for months and months. I mean, one of the questions we got actually on Twitter here from David Cleason was about those comments from Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, saying that with just a few more players, Lazio can challenge for the Champions League next season. And David said, heck, with a goalkeeper and a shored-up defence, surely we'd be as good as this year's Napoli and challenge for the Scudetto. I think so much of that question about whether, what this team is going to be like next season depends on the rest of the league as well, because I think a big part of the reason for, Milan look like they're going to be Scudetto winners, and, Napoli and Juve comfortably qualifying for the Champions League despite being very flawed. I just don't think the top teams have been good at all this year. I think it's been a really, really poor year in terms of quality at the top of the league. And if the rest of the teams don't take massive improvements and Lazio add a few players, then yeah, I'd feel pretty confident they could have a stab at it next year if they make the right adjustments. But if Juventus sort themselves out, if Napoli sort themselves out, if Milan and Inter, strengthen what they've already got, if Mourinho and Roma continue to invest heavily in that squad, there's a lot of unanswered questions. But I feel like the league table right now is a bit misleading, just because it's been a bit of a strange year with how poor the teams have been. I mean, for this Juve team to qualify for the Champions League this early reflects really badly on Lazio and Roma and Atalanta and the rest, I think.
So my next question was, are you happy about the final result of Lazio, saying that we have a chance to finish fifth, but reaching the Europa League? Is it a positive result for you, or?
Yeah, I mean, I can't change my mind now. I said at the very start of the season, if we finish top six, considering all the changes that have been made, I think that's a success. I'm happy with that. And so to finish fifth, absolutely. Like, it's not a success that we're going to be telling our grandchildren about and talking about for years. But I think if you're looking at the Sarri project, if you're looking at the idea of bringing in Sarri and changing the way this team plays, I think solidifying yourself in fifth place in the first season is not bad at all. I think that's it's a better achievement than perhaps people are giving it credit for. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, we're not fifth yet. We need a point, and that's the next question. But yeah, I mean, reaching the Europa League 1 week in advance, arriving above Fiorentina that spent a lot of money, and Atalanta that spent a lot of money. Big chance of arriving above Roma that spend more money than any other team. It's that surely a good result for this team. We know our weaknesses, and we saw it even yesterday. The question mark is, will Lazio be able to fix all this issue we have? I mean, we saw it yesterday. We need a vision mobile. We definitely need a vision mobile. We need a couple of central defenders and so on. So arriving fifth, arriving in Europa League, it's a great result for me. Obviously I was hoping to reach the fourth position, the Champions League, but I thought Lazio had too many issues to make it. But now the question is, Lazio Verona next Saturday. Lazio need a point. Sarri said, our goal is to arrive fifth. We must achieve it for our fans. This means no Kamenovic, right? No chance Kamenovic will play.
No, surely not. I don't think this will be a chance to experiment, a chance to hand out game time to people who otherwise haven't had it. I think this will be very much the same sort of Lazio team we've seen all season. I think Ciro will be desperate there to try and get another goal and finish off winning capocannoniere, which it'll take a bit of a miracle to stop him from doing that now, despite Vlahovic's goal last night. And that's something, amongst all the things the fans should be celebrating on Saturday night. That's a big one. Ciro winning this capocannoniere, it'll be the fourth time he's done it, and there's only been one player ever to do it more times than that, which was Gunnar Nordahl, who played in the 1950s. So it's staggering. I mean, nobody's talking about it, of course, as usual. Hopefully he does get some credit outside of the Olimpico once he's polished that off. But I wouldn't get our hopes up too much. I just want to bring up one question we got on Twitter because I think it's an important one from Per Nielsen saying if we finish sixth, will we need a playoff? Presumably means for the Europa League, but you don't anymore. It's straight into the group stages, fifth and sixth. So this is very much just about finishing as high as possible and finishing above Roma, really, at the moment.
Yeah, just to point out, if I'm not wrong, the first page of Corriere dello Sport is talking about a bionic Zaniolo. I mean, this is how good the Italian press is at the moment. So, guys, don't be surprised if they don't talk about Lazio. But bionic Zaniolo, I don't know why. As I mentioned before, he scored the same amount of goal of Patric. Tells you everything. So, no, we don't need the playoff. But, arriving above Roma would be encouraging. So, Alison, no Luca Romero starting as well. I mean, Kamenovic has no chance, but no Luca Romero.
Well, the only thing with that is that if Ciro's not fit, because that still seems to be a bit up in the air whether Ciro will be able to play or not. And if he's not going to play, then does he go with Cabral, or if he decides not to after the Juve game, he could put Anderson through the middle and start Romero on the wing. He could do that. I think he's probably more likely to do that than he is with Kamenovic, and he's a lot more likely to do that against Verona at home than he is to Juventus away.
One thing I'm not very happy, I was a little bit disappointed. He didn't call Crespi, the Lazio striker of Lazio Primavera. He trained all week long with the club, with the team, but hasn't been called for the Torino match. I don't know if he will be called this Saturday. And before wrap it up, Alistair, we have to talk about the player who decided the match, right? We never mention Sergej. I mean, what can we add? What can we say?
I mean, he said himself after the game, it's probably his best ever season. I think it has to be. I mean, the only one I think that comes close was probably that 17-18. I think it was that season. He's incredible, but I think he's a far more complete player now than he ever has been. Both ends of the pitch. I mean, everyone talks about the goals and assists that he's been producing this season, but I think defensively he's come on so much as well. I mean, he runs further than anyone. He wins balls in the air in both sides to relieve pressure from his defenses, also to set up attacks. I mean, he is an unbelievable player. We should probably mention those comments after the game as well from Sarri about his future. And they've been, I think, a little bit misquoted some places because he did say, I have talked to the president, and from what he said, I don't think it's going to be easy for clubs to sign Milinkovic, but if he does go, he'll leave Italy, which I don't know about you, but that is a bit of a relief to hear. I mean, saying it, I guess, is different from doing it, but
again, we mentioned the Corriere dello Sport. Let's mention Gazzetta dello Sport, who is 2 weeks that's saying that Milinkovic already signed with Juventus. I honestly don't think it's possible, but anything can happen on football. I mean, Juventus is struggling to sign Pogba, who is a free transfer, and they struggle to sign him. And then they have 80 million euros to sign Milinkovic-Savic. That clearly doesn't make sense. And it's something we said already, Alistair, right? Lotito wants 80 million euros. At the moment, there are pretty much 3 clubs that can do it. City, United, and Paris Saint-Germain. City already signed Haaland. I don't think they have enough money to sign even Milinkovic-Savic. Manchester United is not going to the Champions League. It's in the Europa League. But they have the money to do it, and they lost Pogba. And then there is Paris Saint-Germain, right? They can spend whatever they want. So I think those are the 3 clubs that could do it. Or Real Madrid if they don't get Mbappe, but it looks like Mbappe is going to Real. So if you're honest, these are the clubs that could sign Milinkovic-Savic. And on the other side, what Sarri said yesterday makes me think that Sarri asked to Lotito, let's keep Milinkovic another year here, because this was the year 1 with Sarri for Milinkovic, and he had his best season ever. I mean, what can happen in year 2? Right?
Yeah, exactly. And he said that himself yesterday. He said, I've developed in a lot of aspects, parts of my game have improved under Sarri. And yeah, it does feel like there's a lot more to come from him if they can add some more quality around him. And he does have an attachment to the club. Let's be totally honest about that, because he would have left already if he didn't. So I do feel like he does have this attachment, and if the club can convince him that they've really strengthened, really created, I mean, you never know. I was watching the game last night and seeing him doing his thing, and I actually turned around to my girlfriend and said, God, I'm going to miss this guy so much if he goes. I just really enjoy watching him play, and it's sad to even consider the idea of him going, but we're not there yet. We've been here before, haven't we, with Sergej and transfer.
Pretty much every season. Well, you mentioned something about your girlfriend, so I will mention something about my wife. When we scored the last minute, me and my son started shouting, and my wife was sleeping. So she came shouting at us and said, "You have to be silent. Now wish Juventus scores." And I said, "I'm sorry, it's finished." So they cannot score anymore. It's finished.
So you didn't turn the game off on the 93rd minute like you tweeted last night?
Well, I was thinking about that, but I said, let's give it a go.
I think one more Lazio legend who deserves a mention before we finish is Sofian Keane. I don't know if everyone's seen this or not, but he showed his Laziale roots this weekend. I mean, that was probably the stupidest red card I've ever seen, but also maybe the funniest. I mean, the ball the ball had been cleared, and Keane just turns around and kicks Lorenzo Pellegrini square in the balls. It was amazing.
I don't know if the funniest thing is that or he making the face like, what, a red card to me? What did I do? I mean, no one saw you, Keane. There's not 25 cameras in the pitch, right? No one saw you.
The funniest VAR review I think I've ever looked at. It was just amazing.
Yeah. Then people ask why he's not playing for Lazio. I mean, can you play with a player like that? I mean, we sold Mauricio for that, and we don't need another player.
Well, maybe some people have suggested that this is him auditioning to try and get into the Lazio team. Maybe this is a good way of trying to get the fans on side. Amazing, kicking the Roma captain in the balls. So yeah, well done, Sofian Keane.
Yeah, I don't know. To wrap it up, was it more surprising Roma draw against Venezia down 10 men, Patric scoring again, or Fiorentina losing 4-1 against a team that was already saved?
Oh yeah, I mean, they have had a spectacular collapse at the end of this season. I mean, I don't think anyone saw that coming. There was this feeling that they've kind of got over that aspect to their character with Italiano, but wow, I mean, they got pumped 4-0 by Udinese, 4-1 by who was it, Sampdoria. I mean, it's pretty poor. So Lazio also have that to thank, but to be honest, I think it comes back again to what I was saying already about the quality of the league this season. I think Fiorentina's improvement has been helped by the fact that everyone else has got poorer. I think Milan are the only team in the top 6, and then Atalanta as well, who have actually improved their points tally from last season. So
yeah, could be.
Yeah,
I think Roma is at the same level and Lazio is below, maybe.
Lazio were 3 less, but I've not looked at this since the recent results, so it might have changed.
Yeah, could have been. Well, Alistair, if we don't have any more questions, I think we can wrap it up here. Again, everybody, thanks for listening. Remember, you can subscribe to our podcast wherever you tend to listen to your podcast. Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, Amazon, wherever you listen to our podcast. You can follow us on YouTube and Twitch. Alistair is a big fan of Twitch. And Saturdays, there's Lazio Verona, last match of the season. A good way to say goodbye to a lot of players. I mean, Strakosha is probably leaving. Luis Felipe, who's going to probably start because Patric is qualified, is going to start again. So we'll be back probably on Monday to recap the match and then in the coming weeks do a season review, Alistair. What about that?
Yes, absolutely. We'll do the usual, the Lazio Lounge Awards ceremony. And looking forward to that. So hopefully we can celebrate the end of the season.
Yeah, the question is, how many prizes will Patric win? goal of the season, player of the season,
most improved
player. Yeah, definitely. That's going to be interesting. Thanks again, everybody, for listening, and talk to you next Monday. Bye.
Cheers.